In Naruto, the most domineering villain character must be Madara Uchiha. Just by hearing his name, 5 opposing nations were able to unite and form a coalition of shinobis, unlike Nagato, Obito, because of the blow to become a villain, and finally in Naruto's persuasion to wake up the sad villain. From the beginning to the end, Madara wanted to end this war-ridden world by himself. But that does not mean he is a bad person. In fact, he has spent his life and resurrected 3 times for the sake of carrying out justice in his heart. Madara, Hashirama Senju, and Naruto differences are that the protagonists believe in the power of their friends, while Madara believes in his own power. Madara was born in the chaotic times before the birth of Shinobi Village when the shinobi were in a family camp. His 4 brothers, 3 of whom died in the war, so he had the greatest ambition to protect their only remaining brother and end the chaos of the world. Later, Madara meets Hashirama, who shares the same ideals, and they become friends. The funny thing is that when they first met, Madara stressed, "Don't stand behind me, I'm the kind of person who can't pee when someone is standing behind me." Hashirama also tested it, and it is true. This seemingly funny scene is the epitome of Madara's life. Madara and Hashirama's friendship is soon broken when they learn each other's identities and that their families are enemies. The clan of Uchiha awakens in Sharingan when they lose something precious, and Madara awakens in Sharingan when he loses his friendship with Hashirama. In the battle against the Senju family, many of Madara's clan members died, including his father. This led Madara and his brother evolved into the Mangekyo Sharingan, but eventually, the brother was also killed by Tobirama. At this point, Madara has no family left. Before his brother died, his brother left the eyes to Madara to protect the Uchiha family. Madara thus awakens the Rinyu Sharingan, obtaining complete body, Susanoo. However, his eternal opponent, Hashirama, is also a ninja stronger than all the others combined. In the end, these 2 invincible people fought a battle that was beyond the reach of ordinary people, and Hashirama was the victor. Madara's family is gone and his clan has surrendered. Before he died, he was able to fight with his former best friend. No more regrets. But Hashirama revisits the dream that they had when they were teenagers sitting together on a hilltop, promising to build a village together and end the chaos. Madara looked at the Senju family, who were eager to kill him, and shook his head. The only way to end the war is to trust each other and become family with the enemy. He has seen the war for what it is, and he can't face his dead brother. Unless Hashirama kills Tobirama or kills himself, he will not promise Hashirama. Madara knows that Hashirama can't kill Tobirama, he just wants Hashirama to not take into account the friendship he had. But what he didn't expect was that Hashirama actually chose to commit suicide. Madara stopped Hashirama and began to believe that if he and Hashirama could trust each other, then maybe others could too. With the union of Madara and Hashirama, 2 of the strongest people, the chaotic land of fire calmed down and a village was built with Senju and Uchiha as the leaders, bringing together many families. This village was named Konohagakure by Madara himself. Standing on the rock face overlooking the village, Hashirama hopes that Madara will become the village chief, also known as Hokage. Madara hesitates for a moment and agrees seriously. At that moment, he really wanted to protect Konohagakure. However, he soon discovers that the people of the village are not willing to stand behind him. Even if he and Hashirama trust each other, Senju is unlikely to trust Uchiha either. The people of Konohagakure also can't trust each other and the shinobis outside the village. It is only because he and Hashirama are strong enough that there is now peace. So Madara awakened, and he no longer looked at the world with humility. Madara's eyes were always far away. After seeing Tobirama become Hokage's assistant and Uchiha's decline, he foresaw the possible destruction of Uchiha and wanted to lead his clan away. But the hard-won peace has made the clan unable to understand Madara and unwilling to follow him anymore. By now, there was no one left behind him. It was then that he found a stone tablet left by Uchiha's ancestor, the Sage of the 6 Paths, in the secret room of his family's ancestral home. It reads, "When the power of Uchiha and Senju is combined, it will become the new Rinnegan. After awakening Rinnegan, you will see the secret of the creation of the world by the Sage of the 6 Paths." Madara perked up. Could this be the real path he had been looking for? Madara should have talked to Hashirama and tried to find a way to combine his powers, but he chose to leave instead. A few years later, Madara returned to Konohagakure, but his way of greeting was Tailed Beast Bomb. Madara used his Sharingan to subdue the strongest tailed beast 9 Tails, Kurama, and he came back for another duel with Hashirama. The purpose is simple, to get Hashirama's power to awaken Rinnegan, but he didn't expect that in the face of 9 Tails. Using Susanoo, nearly invincible himself, Hashirama just said, "I don't want to kill you." Madara suddenly said calmly, "You don't want to kill me? You mean you can kill me at any time? I have also hit the other side." But Hashirama didn't hear the emotions conveyed between Madara's words and used Sage Art, Wood Style, True Thousand Hands. The two went from a Gundam battle to a close encounter with Taijutsu. After the last round, Hashirama fell. Madara smiled and said, "This time it's your turn to throw away. The person standing is me, and that time the opposite." The way Madara looks smug, it seems that the boy who likes to compete with Hashirama has never changed. But he didn't notice that Hashirama's eyes had changed. Suddenly, a sword pierces through Madara's body, and he can't believe that no enemy has ever stood behind him. Except for Hashirama, a friend he trusted more than anything else. Without using Sharingan, he couldn't see through the wood clones in front of him, and what he didn't see through was Hashirama's determination to protect Konohagakure. Hashirama changed for the sake of the village, and the victory was decided by this slight change. But Madara didn't die. He used Genjutsu Izanagi, at the cost of an eye, to rewrite the reality of being killed, and he bit off Hashirama's flesh during the battle and transplanted it to his chest, hoping that this would fuse Senju and Uchiha powers. Rinnegan didn't awaken immediately. Madara waited patiently. He didn't expect to wait until he was dying of old age before Rinnegan was finally awakened. In this period, a total of 3 great ninja wars broke out. The establishment of Shinobi Village didn't let the war disappear. Madara rushes back to the secret room, but he is shocked by the contents of the stone tablet. It turns out that 1,000 years ago, the people have been fighting for the fruit of chakra in the God Tree, and the war has never stopped. The presence of ninja only makes the war more intense. What is more difficult to resolve than hatred is the selfishness of man. Madara realized that the essence of war is a kind of karma. When someone covers the power of chakra fruit for the sake of peace, the cycle of karma begins, and the stone tablet ends with the words, "Infinite Tsukuyomi is the only way to save the world." Madara wants to use Infinite Tsukuyomi to let shinobis reshape a new world in the eternal Genjutsu. What Madara doesn't know is that a half-truth and the last sentence were actually added by Zetsu. This is just a means to revive Kaguya Ututuki. However, it is normal for Madara to be mistaken, because he can't prove the history of 1,000 years ago. There are 2 conditions for Infinite Tsukuyomi. The first is Rinnegan, and the second is Chakra, a collection of 9-tailed beasts. But Madara's life expectancy has reached its limit and he can't leave his location. He can only observe the outside world by creating White Zetsu. When he discovers Obito Uchiha, and the Uzumaki family descendant Nagato, a plan involving all the villains of Naruto, Shippuden is born. He decided to give Rinnegan to Nagato and let Nagato grow up and revive him. The Eye of the Moon plan is entrusted to Obito, and since Madara no longer trusts anyone else, he cruelly changes Obito and Nagato's original destiny. Decades later, Madara opened his eyes again, thinking that Nagato had finally brought him back to life. But he found out that it was not Gedo art of Rinya rebirth, but summoning jutsu, reanimation, that brought him back to life. Then he saw the shinobis again in the war. But this time it seems to be united to fight him. He jumped down to move his body, which had been asleep for years, and let the person using reanimation jutsu see what the real ninja is. He rushed into the sea of people alone, and instantly the shinobis all flew into the sky. And Madara just used the most basic taijutsu. No matter how many people surrounded him, it didn't make his movements slow. Fighting for him is like dancing. The first person to make Madara stop was Temari, who swung a career-high slam that blew Madara away. Madara just slapped the dust off her body, made a seal, fire style, majestic destroyer flame. This is actually just an ordinary B-grade ninjutsu, but with his power, it has a destructive level of destructive power. The shinobi collectively use water style to counteract this. However, before the water vapor clears, Madara and a bunch of big fireballs come along with it. He is a veteran of many battles and will not let go of any opportunity to attack. The allied forces began to collapse and the top ninja finally joined the battle. Kazekage Gaara interferes with sand, Tsuchikage Onoki uses earth style to control Madara, and Naruto takes the opportunity to use massive Rasengan. Madara is forced to use Susanoo to block the attack. In fact, this is only the initial level of Susanoo, but shinobis have been unable to resist, and here Naruto is only Shadow Clone. But this is a cheating clone, able to use 9 tails as chakra and senjutsu. Gaara and Onoki work together to pull Madara out of Susanoo, and Naruto takes the opportunity to use senjutsu. Raisin Shuriken, but Madara just said, "You guys were the first to cheat." Then his eyes turned to Rinnegan. The last Rinnegan user, who used the planetary devastation, tore the earth apart. Madara draws the meteor directly down. Madara's power makes the shinobis desperate. After clearing the battlefield, Madara gets a general idea of the current situation from Kabuto Yakushi. Obito still hasn't gathered the tailed beasts, and he tries to psychic Nine Tails but fails. Madara didn't rush to catch Nine Tails, because 5-Cage appeared in front of him at the same time. Madara thought 5-Cage is the strongest 5 ninja of this era, so he decided to accept the challenge. In this battle, Madara's strength began to really show. At the beginning of the Junior Susanoo, 5-Cage can still resist, but when Madara unleashes the power he got from Hashirama, wood style, Deep Forest Bloom, 5-Cage starts to feel the difficulty. Luckily, Onoki's strength is still there and he uses particle style, atomic dismantling jutsu to cut wood style, Deep Forest Bloom and break Madara's clothes at the same time. When she saw the Hashirama transplanted on Madara's chest, Tsunade also started to explode. As the granddaughter of First Hokage, she does not want to lose to her grandfather's opponent. Tsunade uses mitotic regeneration, the 100 healings, and gains the same resilience as Hashirama at the cost of consuming life. Madara was delighted by the fierce battle. He used 25 wood clones, all together to launch Susanoo, and then told 5-Cage, "This is the real 5-on-1. Under the siege of the clones, the 5-Cage could not hold out. They decided to make the final blow. Tsunade passed the chakra she had saved for years to Onoki, allowing him to launch the super-sized particle style, atomic dismantling jutsu. With the help of Raikage, Mizukage, and Gaara, this is 5-Cage's strongest combined technique. But their full strength, Madara also forced his serious, complete body. Susanoo appeared and swept away several mountains just by drawing his sword. Except for Hashirama, no one seems to be able to defeat him. But when he was about to slash at 5-Cage with his sword, Susanoo disappeared. The reanimation jutsu has been cracked. The people who stopped Madara were Itachi Uchiha and Sasuke Uchiha. Numerous reanimation jutsu disappear collectively, and Madara's body begins to disintegrate. However, Madara uses reanimation jutsu release, as Hashirama's opponent, ninjutsu, invented by Tobirama, can be broken easily. Then Madara went to Obito's side and wanted to capture 9 Tails himself. However, Obito summons 10 Tails in an incomplete form. Seeing Obito's unauthorized use of his left eye, Madara knew that Obito was deceit on him. But Madara is still in reanimation jutsu's body and needs Obito's power to truly come back to life, so he has to hold back and sit back to watch the show. During this period, Madara saw the cooperation of shinobis. Although the power is not worth mentioning, but see the villages can be so united, he began to think, can Hashirama's ideal be realized? The ninja can understand each other. However, Madara soon dismisses it. Madara was not bored for long, because Hashirama was also reanimation jutsu. Hashirama learns from Sasuke about the end of Uchiha and the resurrection of Madara. He didn't comment on what was right or wrong, but simply said, "A so-called ninja is a person who persists in enduring for the sake of his goal. My goal is to build a ninja village," and it seems that Madara has also found his goal. Hashirama appeared on the battlefield. Madara excitement. Long time no see, Hashirama. He didn't expect that after more than 100 years, they would still have the chance to fight each other. But this time Hashirama finally couldn't hold Madara down anymore. Their bodies weren't their own and they couldn't play their true strength at all. Hashirama's infinite resilience and chakra, there is no room to play. So this time Madara and Hashirama finally fought to a draw. By this time, Obito's performance was over. There will be a video explanation of Obito's performance in the future. Now that Obito is very weak, Madara's chance has come. He ordered the latent Zetsu to take control of Obito's body and launch the Gedo art of Rinnegan Rebirth, a resurrection technique that can only be used by Rinnegan. A tremendous amount of energy radiates from Madara's body, bouncing off the Sage Art. Gracious deity gates that were holding him down. He finally came back to life for real. The original Rinnegan, made of dust, disappeared, but Madara was able to use Susanoo even without his eyes. When Madara was just resurrected, Sasuke had attacked. Madara felt that this descendant of Uchiha had awakened Rinnegan Sharingan and it was a pity to kill him, so he invited Sasuke to join him. This scene was seen by Hashirama, so he called Sasuke to his side and said to Sasuke, "Now only you can stop Madara, you look like Madara's brother, he will not kill you." When Sasuke, full of confidence, attacks again, Madara knocks him down. Madara will not let a person who looks like his brother interfere with his plans. Later, Madara captures the tailed beasts with overwhelming power and becomes 10 Tails Jinchuriki in perfect condition, the Sage of the Six Paths. While saving Naruto, evaluates the current Madara as having power close to that of his mother Kaguya. At this point, he can use infinite Tsukuyomi by retrieving his left eye. Obito escaped into Kamui's space, but there is still an eye outside that can use Kamui. Hashirama, the only one who could stop Madara, was also defeated, and Sasuke, Naruto, and the tailed beasts have also fallen. However, in this situation, there was a person who stood in Madara's way. That man has no special eyes and doesn't use the powerful ninjutsu, but only uses the taijutsu that even ordinary people can perform. He is Guy Mike. Madara didn't underestimate the man in front of him. Perhaps he had seen 8 gates before, but he has never met anyone who can open the gate of death. At this point, Guy's power surpasses 5 kg by tens of times, and Madara also enters 6 paths mode. Even so, he was beaten by Evening Elephant until he vomited blood. For the first time since his resurrection, Madara feels the thrill of battle, a threat that even Hashirama could not give him before. Guy focused all his life on one point and used his last move, Night Guy. The blood vapor materializes into a red dragon and quickly rushes towards Madara. Madara said with excitement, "I Madara declare that you are the strongest of them all." After this move, although Guy succeeded in seriously damaging Madara, Madara recovered quickly with the resilience of his current state, and Guy burned his life to death. Madara is slowly getting up, thinking he will die from the blow he just received. Now, no one should be able to stop him. But Naruto and Sasuke, whom he had just defeated with ease, are standing in front of him again. One awakens Rinnegan and one awakens the power of 6 paths. It took Madara more than 100 years to obtain these 2 powers, and they took only a few minutes with the power of the author. But Madara's confusion is only momentary. For the sake of his ideal, he will defeat whoever it is. Madara was at a disadvantage from the beginning because Naruto and Sasuke were already at their strongest in the finale. Madara has not yet gotten his left eye back. When he was pinned down by Naruto and Sasuke, he decided to get out of the fight and get his left eye back first. Kakashi was resting at that moment, and when he reacted, his eyes were already taken away. Madara opens Kamui's space and finally gets his left eye back. His strength rose again, but his opponent also changed to Team 7. Madara gets bored and just uses planetary devastation to create a bunch of meteorite attacks and then quickly approaches the moon. Infinite Tsukuyomi, officially launched. The light shines on the earth, and all fall into eternal genjutsu at the sight of the light. Everything is quiet, a world where there is no war, only beautiful dreams are finally born. Madara is like the protagonist in a heroic story, overcoming countless challenges and finally achieving the dream he had as a teenager and welcoming the perfect ending. However, Team 7, protected by Sasuke's Rinnegan, didn't fall into genjutsu. As soon as Madara defeats them, the world will fall into infinite Tsukuyomi forever. However, Madara was once again defeated by a sneak attack on his back. This time, the attacker was his most loyal servant, Zetsu. Madara never imagined that the Zetsu he created would betray him. Madara has worked hard enough and is strong enough, but still can't escape from being a villain and losing. Then comes the duel between Team 7 and Kaguya Ututuki. When it was over, Madara was lying calmly on the ground. Hashirama, who was about to be released from reanimation jutsu, came up to him. Looking at Madara, who was betrayed by everyone, Hashirama said helplessly that Madara was really too impatient. Now it doesn't matter if their vision can't be realized, because they can entrust it to their descendants who will follow them. Madara smiled. Maybe Hashirama was right, but he just didn't like having someone behind him. At this time, Madara was not very frustrated, because he and Hashirama actually had the same ideal, but Madara thought there was a shortcut, so he wanted to go before Hashirama. Now the shortcut has been proven to have failed and Hashirama's choice has been proven to be the right one. The rest will be left to their ideal successors. Feel free to leave a comment below to discuss, and we will see you next time.